Hello there, world of tankers, and welcome to the channel. I'm your host, Droodles Blitz, and in today's video, I'll be playing in the Emil 1951. This is a Tier 8 Swedish collector heavy, and it's a vehicle that used to be my favorite in Tier 8. In fact, I have like a 91% win rate in this thing for over 100 games on my main account. It was one of the most overpowered tanks when it was released. However, it's not talked about much anymore, and I want to reignite the discussion about the Emil in today's video. This is a vehicle that trades armor, like the Emil 1 has, for a bit more mobility and a better gun. Now, it still has armor, but it's like 200 and maybe 60 millimeters effective when using gun depression. So against standard shells, sure, you'll get bounces. And against tier 7 matchups, yeah, you'll get a lot of bounces. But against tier 9s and most tier 8s loading premium, you're going to get penetrated right through, where that's not necessarily the case for the Emil 1. But the advantages for this vehicle are quite numerous. First of all, it has a top speed of 40 kilometers per hour, and it has a much better power-to-weight ratio. So this tank is just a lot more mobile. Not only that, but the Emil 1951 features 250 millimeters of standard pen and 284. Where if we take a look at the Emil, this one has 230 standard pen and 254. That's a big advantage for the 1951, having an additional 30 millimeters of premium pen. That means that this vehicle is going to be able to cut through basically any armor placed in front of it, where with the just base Emil, it's not going to be able to do that nearly as reliably. So there's obviously big advantages for both tanks. If you told me I had to drive one of the two and do better in them, I actually don't know which I'd pick, because as I said, the Emil is kind of like a just frontline haul down heavy, where this tank, it's still a frontline heavy, but you got to be careful depending on what's up against you. For example, that Hovry Jagdpanther 2 will cut right through this turret, probably with standard ammo. And because of that, I can't just, drive into the open and expect to get bounces. So here we are on our first game in Lagoon, and it appears that our team is going to be going towards the medium flank. But this is exactly why having that mobility is an advantage for this vehicle, because, I mean, you can see here we're already up to 40 kilometers per hour. This thing is not slow. So if I was in the Emil 1 right now, I would have been way, way behind versus the 1951. So that's a big advantage for this tank. I mean, you can see it's quick. It's definitely not a slow vehicle. Alright, well, we got the M4190 up this hill, and I'm going to try and climb up the hill. We're going to see if I can get up it. Come on, keep going, keep going. I believe in the power of speed. Alright, we're almost there, and the M4190 jumped off. Interesting. Alright, well, I'm up the hill, so that's nice, and we should be able to use this hill to leverage our gun depression and overlook the M4190 and the Chimera. So that's what the game plan is going to be. We're going to move over here. We're going to aim it on the M4190. We're going to miss that. That's pretty sad. I don't know how that missed, but it's alright. We still got 2 penetrating shells, and there you go, get our high explosive. So not too bad. 700 damage with 2 pens. Alright. Well, let's reload. We know that somebody's in the base cap, and I gotta be careful. I gotta keep an eye on where my team's going. There you go. We got the Hovry, which I'm gonna back up from. There you go. I still have to wait. Ow, bruh. I was gonna say I still have to wait for my shells to load. Okay. One thing you'll notice about this gun, just like the Emil 1, is that the dispersion is pretty bad, and it's quite easy to miss shots in this thing. But there you go. Nice 274, and let's see. Boom, a 320 into the enemy Pantera. Alright, not bad. We're up to 1300 damage, and we haven't really bled too much in terms of hit points either. So we got the Hovry, we got the WZ. WZ's just getting annihilated. We're going to jump down here, and I'm going to flank, is the play that I'm going to make. We're going to push all the way over here wide. We're going to get behind, and we're going to see if I can get some damage out. So we're going to try that right now. Got the SU. There's a 470 damage roll. We're going to aim it on the back of the Hovry. There's a 340, and we load in a high explosive and get a 320. Well, we're up to 2400 damage now, which is pretty good, actually. I don't think we're going to get too much more damage this game. I'm not even going to waste my time on the Pantera, because I'm pretty sure that player will be dead by the time we get there. So instead, what I'm going to do is start going for the Jagdpanther 2, and maybe we can get some damage into that player. Let's see. Yeah, there was no way I was going to be able to damage that Pantera. I'm just hoping that this Jagdpanther doesn't completely suck against the Scorpion. Keep on going. Boom. There you go. One easy shell into the Jagdpanther. That puts us up to 2,700 damage. And there you go. Not bad at all. One thing I do need to check is what the high explosive damage of this thing is. The Emil 1, to what I remember, doesn't have crazy good high explosive alpha. But we rolled 480 on that SU-130. That was a wild high explosive roll. And that means this thing must actually have, like, decent HE alpha. It's 400 alpha with the high explosive. Okay, and then what is the Emil 1's? The Emil 1 is also 400. Okay, so I guess we just got a really, really high roll with this tank because, yeah. The HE alpha is still very nice, though. 400 from a 310, that's a 90 alpha increase. And it means that your clipping potential can go from, 930 to 1,200. That's an insane increase in clipping potential. So definitely when you have the opportunity to get high explosive out, I would definitely go for it. One thing you have noticed, though, about this gun is how inaccurate it is. For some reason, the Emil 1951's accuracy is complete dookie balls. Like, it's terrible in the on-move department. And while we're waiting to load into this battle here, I can show you guys that. So we can see if we scroll down to the on-move. The on-move is actually not the worst. It's more the dispersion being pretty mid, and the aiming time is also pretty bad. So when you pair those two things together, it just creates a rather awkward situation for this vehicle. I still really enjoy it, though. I do enjoy the gun. You just have to be a little bit more careful when using it. I think we're going to go towards the medium flank, even though for some reason our T-44 doesn't want to do that. We're going to go this way because the medium flank is always the best decision on this map. And we still have the FE301, so it's not like we're completely outclassed here. Alright. Again, the mobility on this tank is just so nice. Let's keep going. But yeah, you can see the aiming circle is quite large when on the move. So trying to snap shells with this tank it's not a realistic thing. Alright, the FE301's getting pretty aggressive there. And, you know, because I'm top tier, and because I'm in a mill, I'm going to play rather aggressive here. We're going to try and, I don't know. The thing that I really like about the Emil 1951 is it's kind of what I wish the Kron was, right? I wish the Kron sacrificed a little bit of turret armor for more mobility and a better gun. And that's exactly what this tank is, right? It's a super mobile Kron at tier 8. You know, it doesn't have the most reliable turret armor. You can pen it, but in return, it's got really good mobility, it's got decent DPM, and it's a really enjoyable tank because of that. Not everything has to be around armor. And it's kind of what I don't love about the Kron sometimes, is just how darn slow the thing is. I'd much rather have the Kron lose a little bit of its armor, or maybe even DPM for mobility. I think it would make the tank a lot more enjoyable to use. Now we have the Ferdinand, who just sucks, let's be honest. I mean, it's a stock Ferdinand, so I'm not too surprised. We have the enemy K2 on the flank here, which we get one pen into, and you can see that shell did not go where we aimed, and neither did that one. Yeah. So, once again, the gun on this tank is definitely the major strength and weakness at the same time. It's got crazy good pen. It's got solid DPM, and it's just the accuracy sucks. So, we're going to wait here. Got 5 seconds left for my reload. E75 TS is going to get a shell into the side of the IS-3. We're going to aim it on the K2. There's one pen for 280. There is a second pen for 290. And a third pen for 345. That puts us up to 2,200 now. And we reload again, and we move up. We've only bled about 400 health, which is pretty good. Alright, so let's go low. And that way I can kind of dig up on the enemy with my gun depression. And we'll see how that works out for us. There's the enemy Emil 1. Okay. Not able to shoot the Emil 1 just... Actually, you know what? I'm just going to push the Emil 1. They only have 3 tanks left. And, oh, we got the Barask behind us. But out of those 3 tanks, the Emil 1's on reload right now. So I'm just going to poke the Jagd Tiger 88, aim it on the upper plate. There's a 308 damage shell. There's a 340. And then we're going to poke the Emil and get a nice 320. And back into cover. The fact that this vehicle can reverse at 20 kilometers per hour is also what's insane about it, because you don't really have to worry about being pushed or anything like that. So we gotta wait 10 seconds for my shell to reload. The Emil gets 1 pen into the SMV. Let's see, do they get the clear? Indeed they do. But now the Emil's in a pretty bad spot, because the Emil also is out of shells, and I have a full clip. So there's 1, 2, and we're definitely gonna low roll this, but I still pen the third shell, dealing 280-ish damage. We're up to 4,000 now in this game, which is pretty solid stuff. And we have the FE, so I'll just let the FE 301 deal with the Emil. We are going to push the Barask. Come here, Barask. I'd like to shoot you. Let's see. The Barask is running, and we get one pen into the rear. It's a pretty bad roll, and we're going to start reloading my clip. It's pretty impressive how this FE 301 is actually losing to the Emil right now. I want to see, will our FE lose to the Emil? Full health FE 301 versus a one-tap Emil. Who's going to win? Make your bets in the comments. I actually think the FE is going to lose at this point. Wow, that's pretty impressive. Okay, well, let's keep trying to push this Barask. This is where having that mobility, oh my god, wow, the FE actually lost. That's pretty tragic, I'm not gonna lie. Oh, not as tragic as that shell. Alright, well, let's keep going. Just driving in circles here. That's what it feels like. There's one pen into the Barask, and oh man, that was a really challenging shot. That our FE must have really, oof. Ooh. Okay, well, we're up to 4,700 damage, and we're literally just playing Ring Around the Rosie with this Barask at this point. I don't really care, though. The VK100 is going to be able to kill them, and I'm just going to hop into the base cap as well, so, yeah, I mean, have fun. We'll just sit here and wait. 85. 90. Uh-huh. This is why I do play Encounter, because on Encounter, you don't have to worry about bozos like this Barask running around and wasting your time. You just go into the base cap, and you win on the cap, right? I'm not wasting my time to go and try and chase a player that has 100 hit points. It's just not worth it for me. I'm not putting in that effort. I'm just going to give myself the victory, pat on the back, and 4,700 damage. Pretty good game. It's just such a good showcase of why the Emil 1951 is such a fun tank. I mean, you can see the gun is really nice. And again, sure, it does have the downside of its accuracy being on the mediocre value. But in return, you have that armor, you have that mobility, and you kind of check all those boxes. I mean, we can actually showcase the armor while we're in this battle here. So if I pull up the armor, here we go. You'll see it's okay, right? On flat ground, the turret's about 214, but if you're using gun depression, the turret goes to about 250, which is about what I said. With enhanced armor, it's about 260. So if you're loading gold shells, like, it's not too hard to cut through this tank. If you have a, you know, let's say a tier 8 heavy like an IS-6. Where's the IS-6? We'll just do the IS-5. Like, this is what the IS-5 sees with gold. So you are able to pen this thing's turret. But in return, like, you still have good turret armor, as you saw. It's like, you know, 280, 290 millimeters thick with gun depression. It's still got really reliable armor, but in return, you also have this mobility, and especially in that last game, the mobility, being able to chase down that Barask, being able to reposition really quickly and flank with my team, it definitely was an advantage over the Emil 1. This is still a premium tank that I would highly recommend any players to pick up that, you know, want this kind of playstyle, a haul down heavy with a great clipping gun. You know, the Type 63 is considered to be like one of the most OP tanks right now. And I still think I'd choose this over the Type 63. Because at the end of the day, this tank has a clip. And a really dangerous one at that. Let's see, we got the Emil 1 all the way on the other side of the map. I'm just going to continue pushing up this hill. Okay. This is just one of these games where, I mean, Castilla sucks. I consider Castilla to be one of the worst maps in the game, and this is why. Because you're forced to drive your heavy either up the heavy hill and get sniped by 3 tank destroyers on the enemy team, or you have the option of doing what I'm doing here, which is flanking. Now, thankfully, my heavy is mobile enough to get away with this move, but imagine if it wasn't. I'd basically be useless. Alright, so we have the Emil 1, or Stir Emil. We get 1 high explosive into that player, get a second pen into that player. Just like that, we've dealt 750 damage, and that player's game is already over. Alright. So, the good news is that there's no more tank destroyers that are able to really punish my team. The bad news is my team is still dying. I'm not sure really how, to be honest, but, you know, they are. We're going to cross all the way over here, and I'm going to try and help out with the FV. We also have the Emil, but I'm not going to... Ooh, we got the ISU. Are you kidding me? That is an insane shot there. Well, there's 1 pen into the ISU, and 2 pens. We still took 600 health off that player, and we brought them down to 500 health. So it's still going to be pretty easy to take that player out of the game. But, man, that was some really, really bad RNG, wasn't it? Alright, we got 7 seconds left. The reload on this vehicle is obviously quite long because you have a 930 alpha clip, so let's see, is the Emil poking? No. Alright, let's put on my speed boost, and oh, there's the Emil. Interesting. I'd love to actually be able to get some damage into that player. Bro, am I like stuck? 1, 2, 3. What'd they think? I didn't have shells or something? Like, what was the thought process of that ISU? I'm glad that I took that shell and tracked them. This is why you always want to go for tracking shells, by the way. Because when you do go for a tracking shell, it's going to give you a much, much better advantage when dealing with that player later. So we're going to climb up this hill, we're going to get over, and we're going to aim it on the Hovri. There you go, Hovri just shot. So now's my opportunity to move up and get a penetrating shell once into the enemy Hovri, and a second penning shell into the Hovri. Of course, my average roll is going to go 240 on the clearing shot. But who cares? Because the Hovri's dead. I'm at 2,500. Man, now we just reload again. There's the Bisante, who's dead now. Hey guys, I wonder in chat if the Bisante is going to say, I saw a tank once. I'm going to say there's a 50-50 chance. Alright, let's move up. The Emil 1 and the WZ-122. I'm going to go this way, and we're going to try and catch the WZ off first. I feel like they're going to try and run. And again, because we have that mobility, I just put on my speed boost. Oh, actually we have the Emil over here. Okay. Well, I don't have much support. Let's see. There's 1 pen into the Emil. Nice. Okay. And 2 pens into the Emil. Nice. And 3 pens into the Emil. Nice. I mean, we wasted all of their repair kits, and at the end of the day... Oh, now you want to run for me? Oh, that's cute. That's cute, dude. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're not getting away. Where are you going to go? I obviously out-reload him. There's 1 pen. And there is 2 pens. Bye-bye. Yeah. Because we were able to track that Emil and force them to shoot their shells into me a lot later than I was able to dump my clip into them, basically just gave me a huge advantage there. So all that's left at this point, we have the WZ-122TM, who's right in front of me. Boom. Easy 330. And we dealt 4,000 damage in this game. So another great battle for the Emil 1951. I mean, you can see why this thing is so good. It might be old, but it is still an absolutely golden tank. I would easily pair this up against a T-77 or any other Tier 8 heavy, even some of the strongest ones. And I guess it's also partially my fault, because I've not played in this tank in a very long time, and that's on me for not using this tank. It's just, there's so many tanks in Tier 8 now, and when I make content, I try to make content that is relevant to the current meta. So, you know, a tank like this, which hasn't changed in 4 or 5 years since it was released, maybe even longer ago, it's just a vehicle that has kind of drifted away. But see what we can do in this final game in the Emil. I think, wait, how many games have we played in this thing? 3. Yeah, okay. We've played 3. I guess these games have just been longer than my other ones. Normally, I do 4 battles now of gameplay when I make a video. And usually it's about, like, 16 to 18 minutes when I do the recording. But we're already at 18 minutes now, and if this battle lasts, you know, 3 minutes, then that means we'll be easily looking at like a 25-minute video today. Sometimes the videos are just longer, and sometimes they're shorter. I think the reason why today's video is taking a bit longer is because the games that we've gotten have all been longer than normal, right? The game we just played on Castilla, probably a 5-minute battle. The game that we played on Ghost Factory, also probably a 5-minute battle. And then you add the queue times with that, and yeah, I think the games we've been having today have been a bit more extended than the normal play session is what I should say. Now, something that I am interested to check while we're waiting to load into game here is comparing the Emil 1 to the Emil 1951. So we go to Tier 8, Sweden, Heavy, and you do the Emil 1, and then add Tier 8, Sweden, Heavy, Emil 1951. So DPM-wise, both tanks are the exact same. Damage per shot, the Emil 1 has slightly more, but obviously the pen values are way better. The intra-clip is the exact same. On-movement dispersion is actually substantially better on the Emil 1951. if we scroll down, mobility is also substantially better. So, yeah, it seems like, in general, this tank trades the armor for the gun. And I didn't actually know the on-move was better on this tank, but the more you know. As I said, I haven't looked at this tank's stats in a very long time, so it's just one of those vehicles that I decided to make a video on. Wargaming's rebalancing all of Tier 10 very soon, and if you're watching this video in the future, it might have already happened, but at the time of recording, Wargaming is rebalancing a lot of Tier 10. And because of that... Okay. Really? Okay. I'm just gonna load an HE. I want to get my shells back. This is one of those really weird games where I'm not really sure what the heck's going on, right? But either way, Wargaming's rebalancing Tier 10, so I'm trying to make Tier 8 videos right now because the Tier 8s aren't changing and the Tier 10s are. So let's reload. We got a little bit longer left. 3, 2, 1. And there you go. We got the Borsig. We got our first penetrating shell on that player. Not too bad. Okay. There's the IS. I think we're going to start playing a bit aggressive here, because I think I kind of have to. So, let's move up on... I don't know if that IS is going to poke. I don't think they are. We are going to move up onto the enemy Borsig, and I'm going to get a pen. There you go. 319, and they're just going to overpoke and die. Okay. Do people not realize, like, what an autoloader is? The correct play from that Borsig would have been to back up and then wait for me to overexpose my hull and shoot me, but I guess not. This game is not going to be a win, though. At least realistically, it's not. The AMX is going to get a shell into the FV, and the T-25-2 is going to get some bleeds out, but the problem is, as we can see, our team is quickly falling apart. We got the Biter, we got the, oh, that's a Gonk? Yeah, no, we're cooked. There's not much I can do against a Gonk. It's, like, the most dangerous tank in Tier 8. Got the Biter, who is making a play, and somehow that bounces. I'm screwed now. There's just nothing I can do. The Gonk's going to roll to my side and roll 530, and the Biter's going to push me as well. At this point, it's just completely screwed. Yeah, okay. Yeah. All I can hope is that the FV somehow manages to bounce me, or doesn't hit me at all. There you go. Nice. Okay. We have the Gonk on me, which we do get a penetrating shell into, and the Gonk actually manages to miss me, which we get another penning shell into, and I'm going to sit right here now, and we're going to use the dead turret of this player, and we're going to wait. You know what? This could actually be a winnable game. I think the plays that I made were the smart plays. We got to wait 5 more seconds for my shells to come back. 3, 2, 1, and... that was a bad play for me. I shouldn't have done that. I will fully admit to throwing that there. Every now and then I make a bad play, and what I wanted to do... And yeah, we probably would have won this if I didn't make that play, so that's entirely on me. What I wanted to do was... oh, you know what? Actually, we could win. Either way. What the plan I was going to do was shoot an HE at the track wheel of the Gonk. Or not the Gonk, the Grom. But the play that I made was I overexposed my hull because I guess I just wasn't really thinking. It's whatever. Every now and then, as I say, I do make a bad play, which will get me punished. And that was one of them. I tried to HE the track wheel, overpoked, and you notice that I saw his lower plate. I didn't mean to overpoke that much, so I was not expecting to see the lower plate, but that's what happens when the tank reverses so fast. Okay, well, you know what? I think we're actually going to win this. This Leo is really bad. I don't know what our AMX is doing, though. I mean, bro has the shots and isn't shooting. Just shoot when you have the shell. There you go. We actually won, so I guess even though I did make a bad play for once, I got rewarded. My teammates brought it back. Overall, we still did a pretty good job in this game. We bled out the Grom, we killed the FV, and we still ended up dealing 2,200, but I definitely threw at the end there. So I will give this AMX a fire, especially because they're probably not the best, but you know what? It doesn't take a great player to win a game. It just takes a player that helps you out. So good job, AMX. Either way, hopefully all of you enjoyed today's video. Let me know what you think about the Emil 1951 in the comments. And as always, if you enjoy content like this and you want to see more in the future, you know what to do. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.